Hi there! Welcome to another video in my Devlog series about the waterpark tycoon game that I'm working on. This week I didn't get to work a whole lot on my game, and that's because I did have some bad mental health days, but also because I just had some social stuff that I really wanted to do. But first, let's look back at what I did last week, which is creating the pathing system. So, it is now possible to just place paths directly on the terrain. It is also possible to paint those paths in different styles. The current styles are just temporary, they are there for testing purposes, but they just show that it's already possible to change the style. And it's also possible to go up into the air with the paths. But as you can see, it doesn't look finished at all. It isn't finished. It already works, which is the most important thing. And this week I want to focus on making it look nicer and more realistic. So let's jump into this week. Tuesday was just super busy. First I had to go to work, then I had to finish and upload last week's devlog, and then I had to get ready to go to a concert with a friend. It's Thursday now, and I have been a bad devlogger. I didn't record my actual process while working today, but I have some things to show. So, as I mentioned earlier, I already have my pathing system that works, but now I added some details which actually make it nicer to look at and more realistic. So, when you now place paths, they get some edges, as you can see. And even if you, for example, paint in a different color, then there's also edges between those, which I think looks really nice. And when you now go in the air, you also get to see some supports. So I really like how this turned out, and it is really reactive as well. So if you, for example, change the terrain, you see that nothing changes yet about the supports, but once you're done, it updates automatically. So these paths also got some edges because, well, suddenly they're not right on the ground anymore, but they are in the air. But once you play some paths again, like this, you see it really just reacts to the terrain. So now it's easier to start imagining how it will look when you start to create these huge towers that will lead to the entrance of different slides or other attractions. So I'm happy so far. Okay, so it's a bit later now, and I think I've done enough testing to make sure that the system works flawlessly now. For example, I found an issue when you place paths, stairs next to each other. That would give some weird results, but now it works as it should. So I can talk a bit about how I did this. I talked about the node system and how the paths are connected with each other last week already. So that system is now really handy for me to just check if a path is already connected to another path, then we don't need to do something unless they differ in style. If there's no path connected to a path, then we know that we have to create some edges in some way. So it's not super complicated, but it did take me a few hours to get right. Saturday was mostly a socialization day. where I got to meet some friends, we went to a fair, and we got to drink some cocktails afterwards. And it's Sunday now. And actually it's already Sunday evening because, well, I needed some time to recover from yesterday. I don't know how this keeps happening, but I keep forgetting to record my actual process while I'm working. So once again, I only have some results to show. As I talked about last week, I already have some collision detection in place for the pathing system. So you won't be able to place paths where there are already other paths in its way, or you can't go through the terrain. But the terrain system does not take collision into account yet, so you were able to just lift terrain right through paths, which of course is not desired. Today I fixed that. The terraforming system does some raycasting upwards to check if there are objects in the way. And if there are objects in the way, then that piece of terrain can't be lifted. So if we try to, for example, now raise the terrain from here, as you can see, it won't actually raise the terrain that's beneath the path. So that's exactly what I wanted, and I'm really happy with this result. I did some more testing, squished some ugly bugs, and now I do think that the system works more or less. I'm sure it could use some improvements in some areas, but I'm really happy for now. I think I have said I'm happy for now so many times in these devlogs already, but yeah, that's just how I feel about the project right now. Although I didn't get to do a lot of work this week, I think I will be able to do way more work next week, when I will be starting on the actual slide portion of the game, which means that you will be able to create your own slides, and then the guests will be able to ride those slides. And once those mechanics are in place, I think the game will start to be really, really fun. So I'm looking forward to continue documenting my process while making this game, and we'll see what happens with this project in the future. But for now, see you next week!